Okay, I just want to do this SOP real quick. It's a quick recording to show how to make service pages for a website. So this should apply to most websites. If there's any specific differences, we'll talk about that later, but for a general process, this should do pretty well. So what we have is A to Z Blinds website. This belongs to Tina, one of our clients, and this is a service page. You can see it's under the services tab right now. We're on this one. So she has other service pages that we're trying to create right now, and these two are already finished, so they're kind of our examples, and they follow a general format, although they're not exactly the same. So that's what we're going to do with the other pages we're trying to create. So just starting off, we'll talk about some of the parts of this page. This is the hero image. It has the title, the page title, or H1 tag right here. So if I do Control-Shift-C, I can inspect this element here, and it's an H1. You can see it says h1.gb-headline. So we are going to understand that that's always going to be the page title. And then we're going to see that this is sort of the intro section right here. So the intro section always has an H2 right here, and H3, and those are just different heading tags. And so then there's a couple paragraphs. That's the intro. Then there's a why this kind of section. So it could be, why does this topic matter? Why does this service help? Not really the benefits, but just a general view of why do you do this sort of thing. So, or why does it matter to do it with us? There's some clarification stuff that you can get into. It really kind of depends on what we feel needs to be included, but also what the AI finds out for us. So we're going to use AI tools to basically do some research, pull together the information we need, put it into another tool, synthesize that into using our examples, using those as a pattern. We're going to synthesize the research into new content for that other topic, and then we're going to get some images, and then we're going to put them all into a new page. So you can see how that sort of falls together on this page with the different sections so far, the images. You can see if there's a hero image, like I said, there's a in content or like a page content image. This is just another illustration basically showing a little more detail but a little zoomed out. Following typical web formatting, we use occasional bold sections, bullet point lists and stuff like that to break up the text so it's not just a big wall of text. We have illustrations. So these are images that have text and pictures. They just help make it clear for people to just, if they're not going to read everything, they can quickly get an idea of what's going on. Step-by-step overview is great. So kind of what is it? That's a good section. Some pages won't have every section, but we're going to basically ask the AI to get as much information as it can, and we're going to just go with whatever it gives us, just to be efficient. So this is just talking about some of the unique benefits, unique aspects of this service. There's also a benefits section, and then it talks about the area where she works, so where she serves people. So that's a good example. There's another one here for cleaning. It's the same idea, blinds cleaning. There's a hero image, H1. Intro section, it's a little shorter. There's a Y section, another image. Some more clarification stuff, types. methods, or the process, the overview, basically. Another image, which is nice. Sometimes you can have one or two, but you don't have to have a certain number. But just helps to show more of what is valuable. So for Tina, this is something that not everybody has. This is a really big ultrasonic tank, so I wanted a picture of that. So it does kind of, you play it by ear and make sure you have what you need for the page. Different options, another illustration, benefits, FAQs, really nice. I'm not sure the other page had that. So yeah, there's no FAQs here, but we could probably add that down the road. So, and then again, it's about Portland, so that's great. So these are our example pages, like I said. And we're going to use some of these tools. First one that we're going to use is Perplexity. I've already added a prompt that we're going to use to that. But before we go to that, I want to show you the page. This is another service page we recently created. It's called In-Home Repairs. So has a nice hero image, intro section. You know all the sections by now. There's a table, so that's unique. It's kind of helpful to clarify things. Another illustration, FAQs, so it's a little bit shorter, but it's not bad. So when we go to build out a page, we're going to start with, you can see this is the parent page, repairs, and it has its own intro section, and it has child page sections for each of these pages that we're gonna build. So replacement parts is the next one. You can see right now replacement parts is just empty. If I go to the list of all the pages on the site, you can see under repairs, these are the topics that we're going to cover. We've already done this one. The other services are cleaning and measuring. In-home repairs, like I said, is under this. So we're going to do these other ones, but I'm just going to show you replacement parts. That'll be our next page. Since this page already exists, one option we have is just to go ahead and copy everything on this page, copy it over and just make changes. But what you can also do from this menu is, if you don't have one of these yet, you can actually just duplicate it, or you can duplicate one that's already finished, and then you can make changes. But since we already have these created, it's easy enough to just go in to one of the existing ones. You middle click or wheel click this edit page link, and it opens up the back end of that page where you can edit the content. So it looks pretty similar to the front end. The back end is just an editable version. So to get all this content, the easy way is just to go up here to this slanted document overview menu button. Click that. We'll click the first object in this list, and then click and then shift on the keyboard, and that's going to allow us to select other multiple elements. And when I hold down shift, then I can click the last element here, and it selects all of them for me. Now I can do Control C, go back to the empty page. I click into this empty paragraph here, and I know it's a paragraph because that's the basic starting element that you start with in this interface, which is called Gutenberg. So when I click into here, then I can do Control V to paste all those copied elements. So now that's better. What we're going to do though is customize it. So select that, copy, Control C, triple click, Control V. Then we just want to make sure that this container is the right size. So one thing that is helpful to understand, you shouldn't have to do a whole lot of styling and stuff, but if you notice major differences, like in this page, the width of this content container here is much wider than the hero. If you notice it's not as wide, that's something we can fix. So if we go to sizing here, that might not be the issue. It might be, no, that's not it. Full width, there we go. So this one's full width. So under layout and then block alignment, there's 3 options. One is default, and that's what we were on. And then there's wide, which is a little bit wider. Then there's full, which is full width, and that's what we want to use, full width. So if you ever see it too narrow, you can go ahead and click in the corner of it, and that'll select the container. You can see our little breadcrumbs here. This is the top level container. You can also check it by going up here. It's the top level container for the content. And once we click into that, then we can go to layout, block alignment, and go to full. So there's a lot of little gotchas, a lot of little details to learn, but this is not too complicated. So now we just need to update the content in here. And the reason we copy and paste everything is because it brings with it all the styling of every little part of this, you know. And then also down here, like if I click this heading, you can see there's multiple containers. So those give you a lot of styling defaults that we need. So even though we go and replace all this content inside of here, it's good to have these containers already figured out. So now what we're going to do is select the first heading in this container, and we're going to go to the very last element, hold down shift and then click. That selects everything. Then we're going to do shift alt Z. So on the keyboard it's shift and alt and Z, the letter Z, and that gets rid of everything in there. So the benefit of doing that is now we can just copy and paste content that we create with AI, and it'll fill up in there, and it'll be really good. So at this point we know which page that we want to create content for. So we're going to take this as our topic. We're going to go to Perplexity. I've already created a prompt. This should be available to you. And what we're going to do is just change these 2 sets of X's. These are variables. So the first one is the niche, or no, sorry, not the niche, but the topic is what we pulled from the other page. We're going to paste in replacement parts. That's the topic. The niche, in this case, that's speaking about the type of business that we're working for right now. So that's a blinds repair, yeah, let's just leave it as blinds repair. And so if you notice that those variables are used elsewhere in this prompt quite a bit, so we don't need to make any other changes. We just replace the 2 sets of X's, and then we click the arrow. So Perplexity is really good at doing research. It gets live information off the internet. It doesn't mean that it's perfectly accurate, but it does get you a good set of relatively accurate information. It helps to kind of look over it and see if there's any obvious mistakes or problems. But you don't have to read it really in depth. Helps to put your own personal spin on it sometimes, but don't have to worry about it too much. So we're just looking it over, and we're noticing that yes, it did follow our instructions. It got information according to all these subtopics. So as I go down the result here, the response, looking at it, it looks pretty good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to save this information as and you could just, you know, click the copy button. That's fine. You don't have to select it. But I'm going to go to Google Drive, and within our A to Z Blinds folder, there's projects, and then SEO setup. That's what I'm doing for her right now. And we're going to work on evergreen pages. Oh, actually, that's not what we're working on right now. So that's a list of some pages that we were planning to build. This one is in-home repair research. So that's what I did before with that topic. So we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to just create a new Google Docs. Go ahead and share it. And then we're going to change the title to replacement parts research, because this is just our research from Perplexity. We're going to paste it all in there. So looks fine. Then we're going to copy this, and we're going to go over to the next tool, which is Notebook LM. So Notebook LM is really good at synthesizing. So it can take information from different sources and create something new. The benefit of this tool is it's only creating content based on what you're providing. So we're actually going to change the name of this notebook, and we're going to call it Evergreen Page Content Creation. And so these services are evergreen pages, and there's a lot of other types like product pages, resource pages, stuff like that. But right now what we have is we have 3 service pages. So actually I think we're going to narrow it down to service pages, because all of our examples in here are service pages. So cleaning, in-home repairs, measuring. This is the research that we had included before when we used this another time. But this time we're going to leave that unchecked, and we're going to click add, and we're going to go to Google Drive, and it's actually the first result here, so that's fine. We'll just double click that. So now we need to write a prompt for this, and I've done it before, so it's not too terribly hard, but basically we're just going to say, using the 3 example pages, cleaning, in-home repairs, and measuring, please, well, let's come at it from a different angle. So using the replacement parts research, please create content for a service page for my blinds repair client, following the 3 example pages, following the format or layout format of the 3 example pages, and include as much of the info from the research as possible. So that should be good. It's probably not going to give us exactly what we want, but it's going to be close enough. So the key part here is that we're asking it to use the research right here, create something new following the format of these 3 examples. So looks like it did that pretty well. Now, one thing I forgot to include in this prompt, I'm going to save this prompt, but I want to make a note of it here. Before I save it, I'm going to make the adjustment. So what I should have told it, and I always forget, is please make sure and use a variety of short paragraphs, bulleted lists, tables, headings, short paragraphs, bulleted lists, and tables. So this prompt is going to be a little bit better. I'm going to save this And I save prompts over here in the Auto Text Expander. It's just a tool that it's a browser extension in Chrome. I can save prompts and things like that and just say, so this is my content synthesis prompt, so CSP. Or yeah, I think that one works. Yeah. So the next time I need to use that, I can just type square bracket CSP and it'll automatically put my prompt in there. And so now this is probably fine. It does have some short paragraphs. It's not all bulleted lists. I don't know why it did this. It's like it gave us a list of it's almost like the navigation from the website got pulled into this. This is kind of ridiculous. Okay, so replacement parts, that's the page title. This is the H3 or H2 in the intro section, the H3. This is the paragraph in the intro section. So that's fine. What we're going to do is just go like this. We're not going to take everything because it pulled some stuff we don't want, but we're going to go down to here and we're going to go to right here, create a paragraph, and then paste. So overall it's okay. It did not, like I don't need that, that's the H1. But right here we need to change this. If you ever need to change an element, like this is a regular paragraph, but it's supposed to be a heading. So if you ever need to change the type of element, you have this little toolbar in Gutenberg. It's kind of nice. This here tells you what the parent block is. This here tells you what kind of block this content is. Right now it's a paragraph, so if I click on that, I can change it to a heading. This is the default Gutenberg heading. I don't really like it. It doesn't have very many options for styling. So I go and I get this headline element instead. The headline block is a lot better. Now it's still a paragraph. I can change it to an H2. I can also center it like it should be, which is great. And then if I change this one to a headline, and it's going to be an H3, I can also center it. And then I'm going to do the three dot option menu. I'm going to do add after. And I'll show you what we need to get. And it's this little divider thingy. So Control C, once you click on it, Control C, and then we can just Control V, and it puts it in there. So now we have that. Now we have the paragraph for the intro. This should be an H2, I believe. So this is a paragraph. It should be a list item. So we're going to take all of these. Sometimes the copy and paste works the way you would expect. Sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to change this to a list. And let's get out our tool here so we can actually drop these in here. Okay, they don't work. So we'll have to change this to a list. And then we're just going to grab the list item, drop it in here. So change this to a list. There we go. So this is the last one. Now we can take these, do Shift Alt Z to delete them. And then this is supposed to be an H2, I believe. Same issue with these, they're all paragraphs. They shouldn't be paragraphs. So it's a little convoluted, but just gotta clean them up. Okay, now these are all separate lists. That's not ideal. So again, we're just going to move them into one list. Then we can get rid of all these extra lists with Shift-Alt-Z. Then we have, this is actually supposed to be an H2. This is supposed to be a list as well, but it's going to be a numbered list. So if you notice, it still has the 1. We can get rid of that. So list. I know it's a little messed up still. We're going to wind up doing the same thing we did with the other ones. Okay, so just grab the list items and move them into the list. Shift-Alt-Z to get rid of those extra lists. So common concerns, I like that it included that. Changing it to a heading. Now, to me, this all looks a little squished. Like, I like the space between this heading and this paragraph. But if you look at this heading in this list, it's a little close. So sometimes it helps to add a little spacing. So over in our styling menu, we're going to click on here and do a margin top of 30. And the nice thing is we can actually go here to the styles copy icon and copy the styles. And we can apply that to all of these by clicking the same icon and then paste styles. So any heading that comes after a list, I know it's a little picky, but I just like to add a little spacing. So it's the same issue down here. This is a list and it doesn't look, it's not using the list block. So we're going to clean this up and fix it as well. I might cut out some of this. Okay, this should be an H2. Paste styles. Okay, so I like the table, but I don't know if the FAQs should be in a table. I don't really like that too much. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to just tell ChatGPT to change, please, or not ChatGPT, but Notebook LM, please change the table, the FAQ table, to a bulleted list. So it gave me the whole thing over again, which is not really what I wanted. But frequently asked questions, so they're not formatted correctly, that's all right. So we can select the whole table here, and we're not allowed to change it into a list, which is a bummer, but we can do Shift-Alt-Z, and then we can hit enter and then paste the other content. I'll fix these real quick. Oh wait, actually it made it into a list, so that's great. Oh no, it didn't. Never mind. could change that into a list. Oh, look, you can. Okay, great. So if you select multiple paragraphs, you can instantly convert them into a list. So that'd be a lot easier than what I was doing earlier. So it doesn't mention Portland at the bottom here. I mean, it does, but it doesn't have the heading. So let's just go grab that. I'm going to copy the block. Oh, it did actually. It's right there. So I just need to convert that to a heading. And then we need to paste the styles. So that adds a 30 pixels of margin, which is great. And then everything else is good to go. Now we just need to update the images. So this part can be a little hit or miss. It's not too hard, but what I like to think about is the AI is not really good at being super detailed when it comes to complex things that it doesn't deal with all the time. So very specialized stuff like blinds parts, it's not going to get it right. If we try to ask for that, it's going to be really, really hit and miss. Probably it's going to get it all wrong. So instead of trying to go that route, I'm going to try to think of something lifestyle related, like, okay, here's some people smiling and, you know, doing something that seems kind of related to the topic. So if it is something that's, you know, easy enough for the AI to create, like a blinds repairman walking through a home carrying a ladder and a tool bag, that's fine. You know, we can be specific and ask for that because a ladder and a tool bag are not that complex. But for blinds parts, like replacement parts, it's not going to get anywhere close to what we want. So we can think of something a little more abstract, like a happy customer enjoying their motorized blinds. Because when blinds break, they don't work. People are sad. But when blinds are working because they got fixed, then they're happy and they can use them. So that should be perfectly fine for a hero image. And we may not get very many in-content images because we just don't have real images to work with on this website. And maybe at some point we'll ask Tina to provide some realistic images that she can just take a photo with her phone of, you know, some blinds parts, easily add those to the page. But for now, we're kind of stuck with this. So first to do the hero image, and this is not terribly difficult because we're using the right strategy to begin with. We're going to open a tool called GenSpark. So it's already in my history because I go here a lot. GenSpark AI/agents. And I'm going to go over here to new, go down to AI image. Okay. So sometimes they have notices and stuff because they're trying to get you to sign up for something. We don't really need to sign in, but we're going to generate an image. And it's using Nano Banana, which is fine. And we're going to ask it to create a stock photo style image. Okay, so that's telling it needs to look realistic. Of a middle-aged woman smiling while using her motorized indoor blinds. Let's be a little more specific with the type of blinds, and we'll say cellular shades. You can say cellular shades or cellular blinds, either way, same thing. And that's all you got to do, and it's going to actually create a more complete prompt. And we can, you know, do auto prompt. That's that's going to help it create a prompt for us. But we can tell it the size. We want it to be 69. I don't even know if it even listens to that, but we can try it. And if you need to, you can always try some different models, but I'm going to stick with this for now. Let's try it. Okay, it wants us to log in, so I didn't think I needed to do that, but I'll do it. You can use your Google account. It's free. So I lost my prompt. Okay. Please create. I do this so often, it's not that hard. A stock photo style image of a middle-aged woman smiling while using her motorized cellular shades via the remote. You know, that's a nice addition because motorized shades have remotes. In a high-end, luxurious home in Portland, Oregon. All right, so let's see if that helps. So it's creating a prompt, and it's going to get the image. Sometimes the image is like a square, sometimes it's not, so let's click on it. It's a square, that's okay, it's good enough. What we're going to wind up doing is cropping the image to be more of a 16:9 ratio, like we originally asked for. It's funny because it actually looks like she's pointing at the painting or something. But anyway, it's good enough for our purposes. And what you really want to look out for is if there's something really, really unrealistic, then maybe you need to change it, okay? In which case, you can just get out of this screen and tell it what was wrong, and you can get it to change it and try your best. It'll be fine. But if it's like this where it looks realistic, it has what we asked for pretty much. It looks like Oregon, that's great. Fancy high-end home, that's fine. So let's click download. Now, I'm not going to use this the way it is because again, it's square. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click in my downloads. I'm going to click the folder to open that folder. And I'm going to pull this over here so you can see it. I'm going to right click on that image and open with GIMP. If you don't have GIMP, it's free to download. I have the old version and the new version. So the new version looks like this. GIMP 3.0, I think. Yeah, 3.0. So it's free image manipulation software. It works well enough. It's kind of like Photoshop, but better to me because it's free. So then when I crop it, I'm going to do fixed aspect ratio, and it's going to be 1980:1080. So that's high definition, basically, like 1980 by 1080 is 1080p, basically. So you can see it's a nice, you know, shape here for a hero image. And one thing to keep in mind is that Tina's header on her website is going to block most of the top of this. So it's okay if we actually bump it up a little bit higher. But this rule of thirds grid is very helpful, and I recommend using it all the time. So if you need to turn that on, you can always go to View, Show Grid or Show Guides. I think it's Show Guides. So you can play around with these settings and see if you can get it how you want it. Anyway, the header is going to block everything probably above her head. We want to try to avoid cutting off heads. And the dividers on the bottom are going to block off her legs. That's okay. We're really trying to look at her and the blinds here. So once we have it fully stretched out like that, then we can click and it crops it. Then we want to go to layer, layer to image size. Then we want to go to image, scale image. So this image is actually too small. We're not going to scale it. I forgot. There's a better way to do this. If we were to scale it up to 1920 by 1080, it would look really pixelated and yucky, so we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're just going to export it as it is right now. So we can just do V2 for now, that's fine. There's a little dialog that pops up. You don't really have to worry about this, but you just click export, click X to close it, discard changes. So now we have this, cropped version. It's important because when we come back to GenSpark, we can go ahead and close that tab, hover over new, and then go back to AI image. What we want to do is we want to make our cropped version bigger. So we're going to go to image unblur, and you'd think it's this one, but that's not what it's talking about. We want to actually just make the pixelated image look more sharp. So when we use this tool, we go to downloads right here, and then what it's going to do is it's going to take this 1000 pixels wide image and make it like 4000. So we click unblur, it takes a couple minutes or whatever, we'll download it, and then it'll be like 4000 pixels wide, and that's much bigger than what we need, but it's good because then we can get it to be at least 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080. So you get a little progress thingy here. Great, now we can download it. It always gives you this, image 4 thing. So we can close this and go back to our downloads folder. So now we just open up GIMP again. So we already have it the right dimensions, and we don't need to crop anything again. So what we're going to do is just scale it down, because now it's 4000 pixels wide and 2000 pixels tall. So let's just change the first value to 1920, because that's pretty much the shape of a typical high definition monitor. So once we do that, we can hit enter, and it automatically fixes the second one. Now for the web, this is talking about the pixel density. It's how many pixels per inch. And you have that right here, pixels per inch. So 300 is for print. That's like if you're going to print something out of your printer, you want it to be high definition. You want it to have lots of pixels because it makes the image look more nice and smooth and everything. But for the web, you can actually knock it down to 72. Click scale. Makes it a little smaller. Then we're going to export as, this time, this is going to be the final image that we're going to use on the website. So we're going to call it something more descriptive rather than image 4. And we're going to say woman using motorized cellular blinds, 1920 by 1080. And that helps us to just quickly be able to understand what size the image is. So we can drop it into the downloads folder, and there's a dialog. Actually, yeah, so I changed it to a JPEG when I was typing in the title of the image. Instead of PNG, which it was earlier, we're going to use JPEG. So we want this to be at least around 90% of the original quality. You can see the file size is really big, 390. And that's all right because we actually have a plugin on Tina's website that's going to make it smaller. So that's fine. If we wanted to, we could make another one that's even smaller for tablets, but we don't really need to worry about that. So let's go ahead and discard that. And I like to keep things organized, so I actually have a folder in the downloads folder for business, WMS, and then A to Z, and then this is going to be under services, and then repairs, and this is going to be replacement parts. So we don't want all of these images, we just want the final one that we created. Drop it in there. Then the other ones we can just get rid of. So this we actually want to save in a different folder, but we can get rid of all of these. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go do some cleanup in the repairs folder. In home repairs, we actually want to save this one here. Okay, so anyway, repairs, replacement parts. This is the one we want. We need to add it to this page. So in the hero section, if we click at the top level, because maybe you might accidentally click here in the text, you can see that the breadcrumb shows there's multiple containers. You want to go to the very top level one, the parent container. Then over here in the styles, we can go down to backgrounds. You can see it already has an image selected here in the advanced toggles turned on. You have a wrench. You can change the images. So we're going to go in here. There's a mobile option, but we're not going to do that one at the moment. We're going to go to all. This is basically going to be for desktop, tablet, whatever, and it's going to be overridden for mobile to use that one. So let's go to our folder, and we'll grab this and we'll just pull it over here to the side and drop it. So even though it's 385 kilobytes big, that's kind of big, the website's automatically going to make that smaller for us. So now we just select it, and then we still have this other mobile image. So let's open GIMP one more time. Now that we have this one, we can open it with GIMP. And on mobile, for the hero images, I like to make them a square, because you never know if the text is going to cause the hero image to be a little taller. So we will quickly do that. All right, so to make it square, we just go over the fixed aspect ratio, type 1:1. So we can have her take up the right third or whatever of the image. It looks fine. Oh wait, so actually we just need to click right in here. Then we go to layer, layered image size, image, scale image, and we want it to be 450 pixels wide, because that's about as wide as most mobile phones get. But then we want to go down to the pixels per inch and say 216, because that's 3 times 72, and most mobile phones have better screens these days. They have at least 3 times the typical desktop monitor in terms of pixel density, so that should be fine. We'll scale it. Then we'll go over here to export, and we're just going to change this last bit here to say 450 by 450 underscore 216 ppi. That way we know it's for mobile. And then we get this dialog. 52 is fine. Okay, that's fine. Let's export. Then we can close this, discard. Now we have both of these, so we can update the mobile one now. Drop that over here. Okay, now if you are working on a page for me, you can hit save draft, and that way you're saving it regularly, and it auto saves as well, but it's fine to hit save draft. And then when I come back and look at this page that you create, I will look it over and do some editing and everything, just make sure it looks good. Then I'll click publish. So we can preview it even if we just save a draft. So let's preview it on the front end. So right down here in the bottom left corner, you click view preview. So it looks a little goofy right now. What we need to do is go back into here, because there are a couple of things that if you had duplicated this from an existing service page, these settings would already be turned on. But since this one was created from scratch, we need to go down here to pay, or go up here to page. It's the second tab. So you can edit the settings of each block, or you can edit the whole page settings. Now, first thing is we want to set the featured image, and that's going to be the bigger one, the desktop one. Then we already have the parent page as repairs, which is good. Then we're going to keep going down, and we're going to actually just hide the featured image. Oops, cancel. Save draft. And once this shows up and the saving is done, we can go back to the front end and okay, so it's still got some issues. Okay, actually, one thing we need to do is we also need to hide the content title, then save draft. Come back over here. Actually, once, okay, that showed up. Now we can come over here and hit refresh. So it's still a little goofy. So why is it doing that? Oh, you know what? One thing we have to do for a new page, if we want it to be full width, we need to go up here to sidebar layout, no sidebars, content container, full width. Then click save. Okay, so now the content is truly full width and you don't see the weird overlap situation. So this looks much better. And we still need to get 2 more images, but I'm going to pause real quick so I can come back to this after a short break. Okay, so had a quick break, and the last part here is to generate an image down here. Even if it's not perfect, we need something down here. And we have 2 options. One, obviously we can do more stock photos, like a small square one or something like that. Or we can also do illustrations. Now, if AI is not able to help with something because it's just too technical or whatever, it's not a bad idea to look on stock photo sites. So just to show how to do that, it's kind of hit and miss with stock photo sites as well. So if I go to actually Unsplash, that's a free stock photo website, but the problem is that most of the images that are free on here are not really that good. It's not that they're bad, they just don't always fit what we're looking for, you know? And so the good ones that do fit what we're looking for actually, like, they have this plus sign and they're Unsplash Plus. Basically, they're images from iStock Photo, which is another company that bought Unsplash. And so they're trying to sell their premium photos on here. So it can be kind of a pain in the neck, and the search doesn't always help that much, but we'll check and we'll try it. Like, you know, maybe there's something related to blinds parts. So we can search for something specific and see if they have one. Tilt gear. Very specific to blinds, but I don't see anything in here related to tilt gears. Okay, so we're not going to keep looking because you can spend a lot of time on here looking at photos. There's 2.2 thousand. Let's look for blinds parts, a little more broad. So of course they're going to show pictures of blinds. We don't really want pictures of blinds. This is a pool or something. Not at all what we're looking for. So unfortunately, it's like not really that helpful. There's another option for blinds parts or for stock photos. So let's try Pixabay. So right here we can do the same thing. Blinds parts. And again, iStock Photos is trying to sell their images on this site because they bought up all the free photo websites. I'm not seeing parts. I mean, maybe this one because it's showing a real close-up of the strings, which isn't horrible. This one's not bad because, but these are all sponsored. So the top row here is sponsored. We don't want to use those. These are royalty free. So you got a blind mole. Stuff completely unrelated. Got to watch out for some of these. They'll be a little weird. So not really any blinds parts. Okay, so let's try tilt gear. Blinds repair. So of course you see, you know, the premium ones at the top. So again, not really that helpful. I'm not sure. That one might be okay. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and use this one. It's free for use under the Pixabay content license, so let's click that just to make sure. Use content for free, use content without having to attribute the author, modify or adapt content into new works. You cannot sell or distribute content on a standalone basis. That means you can't just make a photo website. No creative, oh wait, it's saying no creative effort has been applied to the content. It remains substantially the same form. Okay, so you have to make some edits. Content contains any recognizable trademarks. Cannot use that for commercial purposes. Cannot use content in any immoral or illegal way. Cannot use content in a misleading or deceptive way. Cannot use any of the content as part of a trademark, design mark. So yeah, I think we can use it, and we just need to crop it, and maybe we'll apply a filter to make it really, really safe. So let's download it. We're going to get this, I don't know, like that should be fine, but even maybe this would be fine. That's really the exact size that we want, really. So download it. We're not going to donate, and thankfully we don't need to attribute anything to this person because they said we don't have to. So let's go open up this folder again. We're going to drop it into this folder. So thankfully we found one that works okay. And then I'll show you how to do a little bit of creative work on it so we can use it within the license. So if we open up GIMP one more time, so the easiest way to do something creative to this so that we can use it for free is we can apply some color filters. So if we go to colors, we can go to a lot of these different options. Like maybe we want to change the hue and saturation. So we can, the hue is the actual color. Right now it's kind of yellowy or yellowish. So if we change it, we can make it pinkish. We can make it purple or blue. I kind of like the blue almost because it's kind of Tina's brand colors. But the nice thing is you can decrease the saturation so it's not so obvious that it's really, really blue. We can also turn up the lightness. Okay. So it's kind of weird, but it works. It's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. So let's go with that. And now all we have to do, because it's already the right size, we just have to export it. So it's 640 by 480. So we can just do that. Then this dialog pops up over on your other screen, if you have another screen. I always like to go with 90% and export it. Then X discard changes. Now we have that. It's kind of a weird direction, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And her colors are blue, so it's all right. So when we go over here to replacement parts, what I like to do, because I've already added images to these pages that have some settings, some style settings and stuff, I just like to come over here and click on it, Control C to copy it. Then I go over here to the other page, and I want the image not in the intro, but just after, like in the second section, why choose whatever. So let's go to why use replacement parts, click in front of the first paragraph, and then Control V. And it just floats to the right automatically. That's the styling that I want it to have. Sometimes it's cool to go, have it float to the left, but right now it's floating or aligning to the right. We're going to click Replace because we want to add that new image in there. Open up our folder, grab this, bring it over to the left, drop it in. Now, because this image it's not a background image for like the hero section uses a background image. This is an in-content image. The image is actually an image tag, and it's going to go in the content of the page. So it's not being done with CSS styling code, it's actually being done with HTML. The reason that matters is because you cannot add one of these alt text descriptions to an image. If like on the hero it's going to be a background image, that alt text is not going to be used. So even if you put something here, it's not going to be used for the hero. But for this one, it will be used. And that's important because it's not just a decorative image like the hero. It's actually sharing some kind of visual information with the user that is useful for illustration purposes. So we need to add an alt text for anybody who might be using a screen reader. Maybe they can't see the page, but they can get an audio description of the page, including our alt text. So we're going to say close-up shot of blind ladder strings, and that's good enough. And we'll select it. Okay, so now we have the hero, we have this. One last thing is we need to go to napkin.ai, and we need to use this tool to create some sort of a illustration. So we're going to try to think about what would we like to illustrate from our information. How we provide replacement parts. What Napkin does the best with is if there are really clear differences between each thing in the list, like types of replacement parts, that's fine. Slats, chords, wands. But maybe the how here, skilled technicians, authentic parts, and then repairs. No, that's not really. That's more how, more of a process. I don't know. Maybe we can do this process or this process one. So we can just select everything here, go back to Napkin AI, paste it in, and then when we select everything, so this is the wrong heading. I'm going to change the heading. And instead of how to provide, we're going to say how we provide replacement parts for blinds repairs. That's fine. Okay, so you can see there's an image, and basically they're just, you know, it's kind of a process. Skilled technicians, okay, authentic parts, exact parts. So they're doing it kind of backwards. I don't really like this image. Okay, so we can do 16:9. Oh, no, we can't. I'm just going to delete this one. We'll try again. So if we select the whole thing here again, we can click the lightning bolt. It'll generate an image. When you hover over these different options, you can look at them and preview them. Some of them are kind of goofy. I don't like all of them, everything that they provide, but I've used this one quite a bit. But it's more of a process. So if you think about which one of these does a good job of illustrating a process, I like to stay away from it. If it's just a whole bunch of text, we don't need that. It's not really adding a lot of value. I like to find ones that are really illustrative. So repair services includes part identification, part sourcing, and repair location. I kind of like that. It's sort of a weird illustration, but at least it's simple and it has, you know, nice icons and stuff. And you can always keep looking. I'm going to stick with this one, but what we're going to do, so you can actually pick the style that you like best. I think I tend to go with something like this where it has, you know, borders. So this is fine. But instead of repair location, unveiling the blinds repair process. I like that title. So this is representing the first bullet, skilled technicians. They identify the exact parts needed. So I like that. Oops. Oh. Cancel. Okay. So we can click on an icon and we can change the icon. You can search if this is not, if the options that they provide you are not really what you were thinking about. Part identification. So that's kind of a nice one there, I guess. If you look, oops, if you look really closely at it, you can see, you know, see they think car parts, you know. That's not really what we're talking about. Maybe a box, yeah. And then part sourcing. What makes me think of part sourcing? It makes me think of brand. Okay. Hey, why not? We'll just do a star. Instead of part sourcing, we're going to change that text to say match brand. And then as far as the location, it's actually talking about doing it on site or brought into the shop. So I want to change this text to say convenience or convenient options. Well, let's say on-site versus our shop. And if you need to, you can just hold down Shift and hit Enter to put those on 2 lines. So that works. And now I think that's good enough. We can just export it. We'll get a PNG. And then 1x resolution is good enough. Let's turn on the background and we'll hit download. So now we go back over here. Let's copy this and we'll just go down right after this here. We can paste it. We'll replace it, open the media library, and then we can drag it directly from the downloads up here. Okay. Now again, this is going directly into the content of the page, so we're going to add an alt text attribute, which is just a little description to share like a summary of what the image is, you know, the basic info. Okay, our skilled professionals, what do they do? Identify the part, the needed part, match brands, and work on site or at our shop. So that's pretty descriptive and short. Okay, and now we're pretty much done. I would say that's good enough for now. So we can actually publish this because I think it looks great. And so I'm going to do that. You know, I might come in later and just be a little more picky about the text, but right now I'm not too concerned about it because I'm really eager to get these pages created. And honestly, the way that we went through this process is good enough. It's not going to have any major errors. I've done this enough times to know it's pretty good. So we can see the published page here on the website. It looks fine. All right, that's pretty much everything that we needed to cover for this SOP. Please feel free to share any questions. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.